Surprise, surprise, it's 2024 and every single brand seems to be collaborating with influencers, be it the larger ones like Gymshark, Sephora, Lululemon, or be it maybe one of your friends' brands or your competitors who are partnering with influencers, right? And frankly, now is the time. The trust is with influencers. You have to work with influencers in order to build a true brand. So how do you do that, right? One of the most crucial steps is finding the right creators to partner with. Most brands mess this up. They end up partnering with the wrong creators. It leads to bad PR and so on and other negative consequences. You want to avoid that. Now, one of the fundamental blockers to this is brands don't know where to start with finding influencers. And in this video, I'm going to solve that exact problem for you. I'm going to share 3 methods that you can find influencers from. One of these methods will work for you regardless of what your time or budget constraints are. If you don't know me, I'm Yash. I'm the founder at SARAL, which is an influencer marketing platform. We work with over 200 brands. I'm here to share how you can find influencers even if you don't use the software. So don't worry, this is not a sales video. So let's dive in. The first method is manual hashtag research. So what that means is basically you would go on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube and you would search for a hashtag about your brand. So for example, let's say you're a healthy breakfast cereal company, you would search for say something like breakfast cereal or breakfast ideas and so on, right? So but there's a detailed strategy behind how you should use it, because you could only maybe figure out 5 or 10 hashtags around your brand, but there's way more influencers that you can find, and I'm going to share exactly how you do hashtag research. I've made a detailed video on this topic, the link to which I'll leave in the description, and I'll share a link to this spreadsheet template also available in the special course we have on SARAL. So if you go to day 2, there is a hashtag research worksheet available here, same sheet, but I'll leave a link in the description anyway. But basically, step 1 under manual hashtag research is you figure out your core hashtags. So what are your core hashtags? Let's say you do something like I said, breakfast cereal, breakfast ideas, healthy recipes, and so on. Those are your core hashtags. What are your tangential? So now that's step 1. List out your core hashtags. Fundamentally, that's what you should be able to come up with. Next is list out your tangential hashtags. What does tangential mean? Is something that is tangential to your brand, not related directly to it. So for example, something like hashtag diet tips would be tangentially related to having a healthy breakfast. Hashtag fitness recipes or fat loss recipes would be tangentially related to having a healthy breakfast, right? So you list down your tangential hashtags. Every core hashtag will have at least 3 to 5 tangential hashtags that you can come up with. Again, if you want me to actually walk you through step by step, it's going to take a while. So go watch that video that I will link in the description. But you find your core hashtags step 1. Step 2, find your tangential hashtags. Next, list down your expert hashtags. Again, the point is to diversify, right? There's only so many influencers you can find if you look at just your core kind of interest group. Ask yourself the question, who are the conventional experts in your space, as I've written here? Let's stick to the same example. If you're a breakfast cereal company, nutritionists would be the traditional experts in your space. Dietitians, fitness coaches, any sports people would be influencers or traditional experts in your space. So list down those hashtags, and these hashtags can be about 5 to 10 in the experts industry, and every expert hashtag would also have tangential hashtags, by the way, so note that. Then I've recommended some tools here that we'll go into. Step 3 is to find recommended hashtags. So you put your hashtags on Instagram or TikTok or whichever platform you're searching for, and it'll recommend you more hashtags to search for. So whatever comes up as suggestions, note that here. And any other hashtags that you find, a really good place to look for hashtags is to go into a creator's profile, see what other hashtags they're using. You'd be surprised the gold that you would find under hashtags under a creator's post. So list those. Finally, use some tools. Listed out 2 tools here. I think Proctor has a free version. Keyword Tool IO is free. Just go log in. This is an optional step, but if you really want to diversify and if you don't have enough hashtags for some reason, following the first 3 steps, you can use some free tools and find it. And obviously you can also use SARAL, but we'll get there later. And then finally, you'll have a mega list of hashtags. Point is, you do the first method to find influencers is you do manual hashtag research. Figure out the hashtags under which your core influencers hang out and post on, and then just make a list of those influencers. That is method number 1. Now we'll dive into pros and cons of this method. There are really 2 pros and 2 cons of this method, right? Let's stick on what's good about this. What is good is it's free, right? So if you're brand new, you just want to find some influencers, this is the best way. Just search for some hashtags, make a list, and then go find some influencers under those hashtags. The second really good thing is this spreadsheet that I shared with you that I'll link in the description. Doing that exercise for just 20 minutes will force you to think in creative ways to find more influencers, and that in itself is valuable. So if you do that exercise, I think regardless of which method you use, you should do hashtag research, because it opens up your mind in terms of how many creators you can reach out to. It's a lot more than you think. So those are the two really good things. Two really bad things, in my opinion, it's gonna be finding the hashtags is fine, but finding the actual influencers, going into every single hashtag and then figuring out, sorting through all the posts and finding influencers, writing them down in a sheet is very, very time consuming, right? So that is one of the worst things. So if you're short, and usually when you're early stage, you're doing a lot of things, you're short on time. So you don't want to be, doing all of this all the time. So that is one really bad thing. The second bad thing is that you might have too many hashtags, right? When you're new, you kind of just want some direction. You're like this, you want someone to say, hey, go find influencers here, or here are some recommended influencers, right? And that's some of the things that SARAL does for you, but it might get overwhelming. So, but that's something that you can avoid, right? So if you can just stick to your top 10 hashtags, you can go after, but we've seen some brands do the hashtag research and they get too overwhelmed, which is why I'm going to share the second method with you, which alleviates some of these problems. So let's dive into method number 2, which is hiring a virtual assistant. That's it. As simple as that. Just hire someone to find influencers for you. Researching, identifying influencers on social media, very time consuming task if you're doing it at a high volume. If you're finding hundreds of influencers every week, which is, by the way, the volume you need to do if you want to be successful with influencers, it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take hours out of your day, and it's not necessarily the most high impact work for you as a founder or an early stage marketer to be doing this, right? So you just hire a VA, you just go on Upwork, Fiverr, these platforms, you can just search for the word influencer marketing manager, influencer research person, and then you can find these people who are good at this to do the influencer research for you, right? Because the one thing that matters with influencer marketing is relationships, is building great relationships with creators, which is why even in SARAL, we put the relationships CRM or creator relationship management system front and center of our app. That's what matters. So your time is better focused on building those relationships, not on finding the people to potentially build relationships with. You should, I highly recommend, if you're new to this, you're not ready for software yet, hire someone to manually find influencers for you and do it in spreadsheets, right? But before you hire someone, I have some tips, right? There's 3 things you need to do, right? Define a particular, what I call ICP, or ideal creator persona. I've made a video on this. I'll link it somewhere here and in the description. Make sure you define your ideal creator persona, which means you finish your hashtag research strategy. There is also a ICP framework that I have in the other video. You can check that out. Make sure that the person that you're hiring knows exactly whom you want to find. Step 2 is to define the process, is to say, hey, here's who we find. That was step 1. Here's how we find them is step 2. So like, here's like, what's the criteria to find them? What should you look for? Where should you look for them? Make sure you record a quick Loom video of yourself finding maybe 10 or 15 influencers. Spend 15-20 minutes doing it, so that the person that you're hiring knows exactly how you think and what you look for with influencers, and provide training, right? So provide ongoing training is what I mean. The process in the Loom video is fine, and make sure that you're checking in at least once or twice every week when they give you batches and you're sharing rounds of feedback with them, because it'll take a certain amount of absorbing period for them to learn exactly whom you want, right? So you hire someone, you follow these 3 steps, tell them exactly who you need, and let them do it for you. Now, what's the good and the bad thing about it? The good thing is it's flexible. You don't have to hire someone full time for this. You don't need a marketing intern for this. You can just hire someone offshore to do this for you. If you need tips on how to hire or what platforms to hire from, put a comment. I can share some links. Another good thing is that the VAs that you will hire very likely have experience. So like I said, go on Upwork and Fiverr and all these other platforms and search for influencer marketing, influencer research, these keywords. These people do this for a living, right? So they have more experience in this than you do. They know exactly the quirks of every single platform. They know how to find for influencers, the right format to put it in a Google Sheet, how to find their emails, how to DM them, so on. You know all of that. So they have experience which you don't necessarily have. You get that experience without spending your own time, and you just get this person on. That's number 2. Number 3 is that you get to focus, like I said, on the high impact work. So the person does the research for you, they find the influencers, and you get to reach out to them and you get to build the relationship. So you can focus on where your time is used the best, on all the high impact relationship building work. So those are the 3 really good things. Now here's where the bad things come in, right? Like every method has its own cons. Most of the times I've seen when brands hire VAs for the first time, because as a new brand, even you don't know whom you want, right? Or maybe you do know who you want, like you can eyeball it, but you can't communicate it. And that's natural, that's fine. But when you hire someone to do it, it's hard to transfer that knowledge. It becomes difficult for them to find the right influencer. So without careful guidance, they might not exactly grasp who you want and what your brand's values and messaging is, which means they would find a lot of creators that are not fit. But this is something that you can improve upon with feedback and guidance, right? That's why I said point number 3, it was training, right? You gotta consistently check in with them. Number 2 is you're relying on someone outside of the team. And we fundamentally believe that influencer marketing has to be done in-house. You should not be outsourcing this. You should just be finding influencers yourself, because people who work with 5-6 brands at once, freelancers, they're good, but they don't necessarily understand how your brand wants to find influencers, right? One thing that long term might not be the best strategy, but again, short term, it's fine to hire someone externally to do it. Number 3, and this is what we see practically on a day-to-day basis with our brands at SARAL, is that different freelancers might deliver different quality of work, right? So you might have to spend your own time reviewing the work, giving them feedback, which might actually end up taking more of your time than if you were to do it yourself, or if you were to use a tool like SARAL, which is the next step. But these are the 3 primary cons. But you're best suited hiring a VA if you have some spare cash, your time is better spent doing other things. Just get someone to do it, find the influencers and reach out. So that is method number 2, is hiring someone to do it for you. Method number 3 is using SARAL, and it solves for almost all of the cons that I mentioned in the previous steps. So let me show you how magical SARAL is and how it can automatically find influencers for you without you hiring a VA. So let's dive in. Okay, so we're in SARAL. I'm gonna go to Discovery, which is our search engine for influencers, right? The way this works is that it has indexed almost all the creators that are available on social media, which means you can essentially search across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube using our platform. You can, and the good thing is, see, if you're new to this, you don't have to do the hashtag research now, because it just gives you recommended searches. It analyzes your website, which you put while you sign up to the platform, and it's a free trial, by the way, so anybody could try this. You could go in, put in your website, just recommends things to search for. You would go in here and search for something like gym fashion, for example, and it just shows you influencers who post about fashion at the gym. And then from here, you can search and you can open up their profile, see what they post about, blah, 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 all of that. And then importantly, you can refine your search criteria. So you can go into filters. You can be like, hey, I don't have a large budget, so show me nano influencers. We only sell in North America, so show me influencers in US and Canada. Show me influencers with a high engagement rate, and show me influencers who are female, because we're a women's apparel brand, for example. You filter it down and it gives you a filtered list of creators to reach out to. Very simple. You didn't have to do anything. It took me 5 seconds to run the filter, and there it is. Your curated list of influencers is ready for you. You can quickly go to their profile, check out what they post about. This guy looks pretty stylish. Maybe he could rep your brand. You could reach out to them. And there's no spreadsheets, there's no hassle, there's nothing needed. You can just select as many influencers as you like, add them to a list, and save them into a list. As simple as that. Another thing is you're not restricted by searching for hashtags. So for example, you can go to, we have different search intents in SARAL. So there's creative ways you can search and find untapped influencers to partner with. So let's say you're a fitness apparel brand for women and your customers also buy Lululemon. You can go in, click on Lululemon, and it will show you influencers that promote Lululemon. There you go, and you can apply the same exact filters that you did. If I click on previous, apply all my previous filters, and it will show me a filtered list of influencers. There you go. These are all of the influencers that promote Lululemon and match your exact ICP criteria. Easily find them, select all, save them to a list, start reaching out to them directly within the platform using email drips. As simple as that. The third way to search is by my customers follow the account. So let's say, for example, your customers follow the account Tim Ferriss. And then I can go in here and then it'll show me influencers that are similar to him. And then you can Wim Hof, Ray Dalio, Simon Sinek, all these people are similar to Tim Ferriss, right? So you can reach out to them. Or importantly, what you could do is you can filter by followers. And let's say let's find people who are slightly smaller, right? Because maybe you can't afford to pay Simon Sinek to rep your brand, but you can filter by smaller influencers who have a similar audience. And maybe you could work with Mario, maybe you could work with Ezra, pops up here, MJ DeMarco, Jared, and so on. So you could maybe partner with them because they're slightly smaller but have the same audience. So there's different, very, very creative ways that you can search in SARAL. Finally, I want to show you one more thing that saves a lot of brands a lot of time, is this AI that we built. When you save an influencer in SARAL, there's a lookalikes AI that does the work for you without you doing anything. It'll analyze your list and it'll suggest more creators for you to save. So all you have to do is really vet them for their profiles, go to their profiles, check them out. If you like them, you just select all and move them to a list and start reaching out to them. As simple as that. So SARAL takes away all the cons. It's not very time consuming because you can just go to the recommended searches, select influencers you want, save them to a list, then use the lookalikes AI to find more influencers on your behalf so you don't have to do the work. Very, very simple, very, very efficient way to find influencers, right? The only con, if I were being fair to my audience, is that it costs some money, right? So you're going to spend time using method number 1, you're going to spend money and time using method number 2 because you'll have to review and you have to train and so on. And it's slightly operationally complex if you want to scale. That's method number 2, hiring VAs. With SARAL, yes, you do spend some money, but you do get a free trial and you get all the efficiencies and you unlock for scale. So you future-proof your marketing with SARAL. And it's a free trial, like I said, right? So you can just go click the link in the description, claim your free access, test it out, see if you find some good influencers, start reaching out to them on the trial. And you'll also see an option to book a strategy meeting so our customer success team can help you out. But that was method number 3 to find influencers. So use a search engine like SARAL and use creative ways to find influencers. Search, save, and start reaching out. So we've covered 3 ways to find influencers for your brand: manual hashtag research, using a VA, and then finally using SARAL to scale this and really operationalize this, right? You've seen the pros and the cons of each one. Analyze your goals, look at your situation, and pick one method, right? I'm not saying you should go sign up for SARAL right now. Just start working with influencers because it's going to pay off very, very well for you as a brand in the long run. So if you got any value from this video, feel free to share it with your team, share it with any of your friends and groups. I really appreciate that. That's all I want from you. Click on the like, add any comments if you want below. If you have any questions about anything I mentioned in the video, if I missed linking anything in the description, let me know. I'll send you the link. Don't worry about it. And yes, I will see you in the next one.